are back for another episode of the F1 Casuals coming at you. It is Sunday, April 16th. We've had 2 weeks off. I just got back from a crazy trip down to Punta Cana. We were celebrating my business partner, Jamie Fitzpatrick's wedding to the lovely Erica. It was quite a week. We all made it back alive, but my God, there was some heat stroke. There was some food poisoning. There was every little thing in between of that.
A lot of booze, fun in the sun.
A lot of booze. I think I'm definitely experiencing alcohol withdrawal right now, but that's okay because we had a great Chinese Grand Prix earlier today. No, we didn't, did we?
No. Yeah. Big miss. COVID lockdown still in effect, unfortunately. So no GP, no Chinese GP for us this week.
That's crazy. That's 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
What a letdown.
Disappointing. A huge gap in the calendar, a month. And like you, I know you're missing it, and all our casual fans, I'm sure you're missing the race this weekend. But we figured we'd step in and give you guys some content.
Yeah, we didn't want to take 3 weeks off. That's just too much time away from you. Unfortunately, Greg couldn't be with us today. He's on a lovely hike with his lovely girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be you and me, Mike, holding it down today.
Holding the paddock down, yeah.
Holding the paddock down. And before we get started, the Chinese Grand Prix, it's a bit of a letdown for sure. But you know what's not a letdown?
What's not a letdown?
Boxing Rock beer, ladies and gentlemen. They're still here. What do you got there, Mikey?
3 sheets, baby. Cream ale. Yeah, from your local Boxing Rock. Nova Scotia proud, for sure.
Very nice. And I've got some sort of a. It's not on the shelves for very long. It's
limited release.
It's limited release. I'm like, what are those things called that aren't around for a long time?
LTO,
a limited release. It is a Boxing Rock La Rive du Sud. I definitely butchered that. It is it's a Belgian beer and a Flemish style actually, and it is a beer for keeping. So it's a little bit stronger, stays a little bit longer. And it still tastes great. Cheers,
Cheers
Mikey.
to you. Cheers to you. Oh, I'm 3 sheets to the wind already.
Oh, wow. As soon as it touches your lips after a week straight of alcohol, that's real nice.
That's the balance you need, eh?
That's the balance I needed. So, yeah, Mikey, obviously no race to cover this week, but we got a few talking points definitely to cover here, a few developing storylines. Before we get into anything, here in Halifax, we had an indoor go-kart track for many, many years. And I think it was 2 years ago they closed their doors. Yeah. Well, guess what, folks? Kartbahn is reopening their doors. Well, not really, because it's going to be an outdoor track. And if you're from Halifax, it's at the Halifax Exhibition Park, not too far outside of the city, basically on the way to Bears Lake. You just take a left. It's going to be fantastic. They're opening their doors again in May of 2023 if everything goes accordingly. And we're in the works with them for a potential little partnership. We'll see. You know, they're very busy still opening and figuring everything out and all that going smoothly. But look forward to some F1 Casuals content on track.
Wow. Look
no
out.
Question.
Yeah, look out. The boys are going to be tearing up the track. That's for sure.
You got that right, Mike. And we've got another little partnership in the works, too. We're not going to give it away yet, but the F1 Casuals are coming to you with products that you're really going to want.
Yeah.
And we're going to do some real cool branding and some videos, hopefully on track as well.
Yeah, we're looking to bring you guys some exciting content in a unique way and keeping it aerodynamic and speedy as always.
Very speedy and very aerodynamic. Can't wait for that. So look forward to that. That'll be coming in the next few weeks. And first topic of the day, I want to start with Aston Martin. Obviously, we love them. You know we love them. And in honor of their fantastic start, their turnaround from not so great a finish last year, we're going to go over the top 4 biggest turnarounds in the last 20 to 30 years. There are some ones back in the 60s and 70s, but it just got a little confusing based on who was in there and how many teams there were. So we're going to go from really the modern F1 teams. BMW Sauber.
Yeah.
So they finished 5th back in 2006. Not so great. But in 2007, they finished 2nd. They went from 36 points to 101 points. Their drivers, 2006, Nick Heidfeld and Canadian Jacques Villeneuve. And actually, Robert Kubica, he took over Jacques in race 13. He had a heavy crash in Germany. And then that following year, Kubica didn't give that seat back. Jacques was done. It was Nick and Robert for 2007, except for one race, actually. Sebastian Vettel stood in for Kubica after that really heavy crash in Canada, if you do
bad
recall.
one if you want to check that on YouTube. Yeah.
He's been in a lot of bad crashes, folks, not just in F1 either. He's lucky to be alive.
As well. Yeah.
Yep. So 2007, 101 points, second place. Pretty nice.
Big jump.
Mercedes, now this is more of a jump in points, not necessarily places, but they went from 360 points in 2013. I know that's a lot of points, but it was a bit of a different system back then. They finished second that year, but the following year, 701 points. What?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
To the moon.
And that was really the beginning of the Mercedes dominance in the hybrid era. Champions Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, of course. And yeah, we just want to give them a shout out because that's a huge jump in points. And that was the beginning of their dominance from not really being that dominant of a car for the years prior.
Yeah, definitely kicked off the Mercedes era of world championships and drivers' champions, both for Lewis and Nico's single world championship victory as well. So.
Yeah. Oh, and if you want to know about those two and the rivalry that they have and the friendship that is no more, check out the Silver Arrows.
Yeah.
You were the one who showed me that. It's a YouTube documentary. There's two of them, actually. There's the Silver Arrow, and then there's the origins of the Silver Arrow. Shout out to, I should have this information, but if you just Google it, some guy, he created these for free. They're full-length documentaries that cover these seasons leading up to really the dissipation of their friendship after Nico won in, was it 2016?
I believe so, yeah. And, two childhood friends that grew up racing and karting against each other, touring around Europe, and then both competed in Formula One at the greatest stage. And, that 2016 really, I guess you could say, culminated their lifelong friendship. And maybe was the end of it as well.
Yeah, I don't think they talk too much.
No, not anymore. On Christmas card lists.
No, definitely not. And another big jump, these actually last two here were the same years, interestingly enough. We had Red Bull. They finished 7th with 29 points in 2008. And the following year, second with 153.5 points in 2009. Massive jump. And that first year, you had David Coulthard. He was with Marc Webber in that first year. And then, of course, the following, the phenom, Seb Vettel, joined the team. And I have a feeling that Seb joining the team that year definitely added to that point total being more than it would have if David
Big time.
stayed.
Yeah, also Adrian Newey really getting his work done in design, providing Seb and Marc Webber a vastly superior livery to for them to compete for not only the Drivers' Championship, but the Constructors as well.
Yeah. Adrian Newey, also known as F1's Rain Man, he is responsible for, off the top of my head, how many championship cars? Like 8 or 9?
Yeah, in that area for sure. And well, I guess if you combine Seb's titles and then Max's double. Back-to-back, that's roughly 8 to 10 world championships. Then in a very modern era of computer design and whatnot, Adrian Newey keeps it old school and draws out and designs everything by hand. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, testament to his vision and the influence that impact that he's had over Formula One over a couple decades now.
Yeah. And great news for Red Bull. Christian Horner has said Adrian Newey will be with the team for the foreseeable future.
Definitely, yeah. It's great to see. So we'll still see some future advancements from Red Bull, so look out. That's a scary thought. Yeah,
bad news for the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's got to keep up.
And number one biggest point swing from year to year, and if you're a diehard F1 fan, you know who we're talking about. Formerly known as Team Racing Honda, they became Braun GP in 2009. They went from 14 points in 2008, 9th place, to 172-point champions the following year. That really has never been repeated. I don't know if it ever will. 9th to 1st. Truly incredible stuff.
Yeah, very much the phoenix rising from the ashes. Ross Brawn, major influence still to this day in Formula One. But as a team owner and whatnot, they had some revolutions as far as like the sport's concerned. Double diffuser, major impact in performance.
Yeah.
And we still kind of see renditions of double diffuser to this day, in Formula One. So massive success. Ross Brawn is a major name in Formula One. If those of you aren't familiar with him, formerly on the team side and now a member of Liberty Media.
Well, there you go. And we'll be getting to Liberty later in the episode. And the drivers both of those years were Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello.
Legendary drivers for sure in their own rights.
Both legendary, and Jenson winning
extremely talented
that drivers' championship in 2009. Also, incredible feat for him.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
All right. Before we get into the Baku preview, we just got to shout out the Dominican water. I know it's not available up here, but the Presidentes,
El
Presidentes, amazing beer down in Dominican. I was on those all
week.
We're
just reminiscing about.
We're just reminiscing about
DR times.
DR off screen there. You don't get to see that. That's behind the scenes later on. All right, let's get into the Azerbaijan GP preview. We're not going to get too in-depth with this. I mean, it's still 2 weeks away, but it is the Baku Street Circuit. It's one of the more exciting circuits. There's always a crash or two.
Oh, yeah.
And that leads me to why the hell are we doing a sprint race at Baku?
Yeah. Entertainment value, shall I say. It's going to be potentially a lot of carnage.
The drivers, the team principals, they're not too happy about it, especially the teams that are on more of a tight budget, like, say, Haas. For the fans, hey, we get 2 races at Baku. That's pretty sick. I mean, if you remember 2 years ago, they had essentially the 2-lap sprint after that red flag from Max shunting into the wall there, which was terrible.
Legendary meme of him kicking the tire.
Yeah, it actually did. That led to one of the best memes ever. So fair enough. You know what? I take it back. He was fine, and we're moving forward. But yeah, that was a great kind of 2-lap sprint race, and we were like, that was when sprint racing was kind of just getting started, and we were like, well, if it's anything like this, like, bring on sprint races. Yeah. But you have to take into consideration, these cars are expensive to maintain, and they're even more expensive to replace. And you typically see 1 or 2 crashes in the race.
Yeah, and looking at this year with the updated rules on tire blanket times and whatnot, and we've seen a lot of teams struggle with heating up the tires this year in qualifying and race restarts and whatnot too. So definitely keep an eye out on those opening couple laps of the sprint.
At what point, F1, I think up to this point, has done very well in seeing what's wrong in terms of how can we make this sport safer. You do have a bit of pushback from time to time, but after the horrible death of Jules Bianchi, the halo was introduced not long after. And even in NASCAR and other racing series, you see a lot of steps taken forward to protect those drivers. And I'm worried, and I'm not trying to go after Liberty Media completely right now. There's a lot of moving parts at work here. But like you said, with the tire blankets, the reduced time, tires aren't going to be heated the way they should be. They're not going to be in that zone. That is going to lead to more dangerous driving, is it not?
Yeah, definitely. It reduces the driver's ability to maximize performance, but also bring the car into a position where it is able to maximize its performance. And then, some teams still struggling with aerodynamic issues. Nice to see the porpoising not really an issue. But, entertainment value versus safety versus performance. There's always going to be a push and pull there. Also, something else to consider is, this ever-increasing schedule that's growing, that's going to have long-term wear and tear on drivers, teams, mentality, freshness, which can ultimately result in potential safety and stuff. So, the sport is growing exponentially. We've seen a massive growth in the last 3 to 5 years. So at what point does Liberty Media say, okay, we're comfortable with where we're at, or is this just a year-over-year growth model that could turn into an uncontrollable beast at a certain point? And but yeah, safety, Max Mosley. There's one for the history books for you, implementing new safety protocols and constantly researching and putting a lot of money and R&D into that.
Senna was a big pioneer for drivers.
That kicked it off. Yeah. I mean, he was a big. Him and Niki Lauda for sure. After the Nuremberg incident. We can't have drivers just constantly dying on the TV set on your Sunday afternoon.
Not a great look.
No, not good at all for the sport and just for the fans and families in general.
Yeah,
but two huge advocates, and then unfortunately we've seen a few deaths in the sport following the passing of Ayrton. Great to see that it's been a couple years since Antoine Hubert. So in Spa. So again, safety needs to be the paramount, and let's just ensure that entertainment value isn't put in front of that.
Yeah, I mean, F1's pretty entertaining right now.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking of all the crazy results we've had, and crashes are a part of that, but with this cost cap budget, it's going to be increasingly more difficult, like you said, for teams with lower abilities, I guess you could say, such as Haas compared to Mercedes.
Yeah.
We'll as long as the sport's entertaining and it's safe, then and it continues to grow, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, if you can get the best of both worlds, that's what we're here for. I mean, you see it in other sports, contact sports over here in North America with the NHL and NFL and concussions, and a lot of research going into that and trying to get headshots out of the game. I think that's a great thing, and I think the same goes for F1. I think it's good to look after safety first, then entertainment second at the end of the day, because if there's no drivers, there's no race.
That's right. And just Formula One has always been basically a center of influence for safety that translates and trickles down to road cars, impacts, things like that, sensors, all this crazy technology that you and I have no understanding of. But it has definitely impacted society in a positive way. So let's hope that trend continues.
Absolutely, absolutely. So last year, pretty uneventful race. Max and Checo, they were first and second. Max was 20 seconds ahead of Checo. Checo was 25 seconds ahead of George Russell in third. Do you think we're going to see Red Bull dominance again?
They're definitely going to be up there. I think Ferrari and Mercedes have shown growth in the last two races.
Yeah.
Especially Mercedes with their strong finish in Australia. So look for that to continue. Again, Baku is a combination of power/circuit with influences from Monaco, Singapore, all the way up to Monza. So long straightaways. I think that final straight is like 2.2 kilometers. So
it's insane.
Yeah, with Red Bull's amazing DRS system that their top speed. I think they're 10 to 15 kilometers above
it's crazy
the nearest competitor. So with a month and some wind tunnel time, maybe some other teams have caught up to an extent. But also Red Bull's struggling with reliability issues as well.
Yeah.
These issues that Max and Checo had, gearbox, power unit related and stuff like that. We'll see if those have been refined, smoothed over. Mercedes seems to have made improvements. Red Bull's definitely a little more consistent. And then, of course, we have Aston Martin, definitely strong 3 podiums already. I think it's going to be a very exciting race. I'm super excited. Baku's one of my favorite races on the calendar. And look forward to a lot of overtaking and a lot of dramatics.
Yeah, that last straight to cross the finish line, I mean, that's where a lot of top speed records for F1 have been set lately.
Imagine so.
It's going to be fantastic. I think Lance is due. I know that he got a fourth place result in Australia, but it was kind of just a matter of keeping the car on track for
pretty
the
much
whole race.
At that point, yeah.
But I think he's due for a well-earned result this
potential
upcoming race, potential podium. I think what's interesting is that this month off, which you normally see in the summer break, that's a month of being able to actually work and work on the car and work with the drivers. Where in summer break, technically, you're not allowed to talk to anyone involved with your team. So we could see some big changes for some of these teams. You never know.
Some upgrades, some development, wind tunnel time too is all going to increase some teams' performance for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could see another Mercedes podium. I think they're closer than they're ever going to let on. And I think, with Ferrari, oh my gosh, that luck's got to turn around at some point, right?
Yeah, it will. Two very strong drivers. Big change in organization over last year. Stefano Domenicali stepping down. Let's get that prancing horse back on the podium and make it entertaining because nobody likes, as much as everybody's enjoying Perez and Max kind of going back and forth at it in Formula One. We don't want to see a 2-horse race. We've seen that too many times.
We really don't. And actually, I saw a post the other day that bettors are now taking bets without Max Verstappen.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. I like that.
Yeah. So makes sense. I mean, he's just been so dominant, and if he's going to finish the race, he's probably going to finish it in first.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I mean, to touch on those reliability issues, it will be interesting to monitor because you can have a car that's a minute faster than the grid every lap. It doesn't matter if you can't finish the race.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We've seen that from a number of the teams this year. A couple engines getting blown out, gearboxes, brake failure for Lance as well. But that's the reality of Formula One,
which I find so fascinating. Right? It's 2023. It's the pinnacle of motorsport, and you still have car failures. Like that's how much they are pushing that boundary every single time they go out there.
Yeah. Not just from the driver's point of view, but from the team's point of view as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be a great race, no question. I mean, we might do an episode next week with Greg, but we might not. You never know, depending on how schedules work. So I think we should do a little podium prediction, the two of us, and then we can add Greg on social media. We'll make sure he gets in there.
His picks in for sure. Yeah.
Who are you thinking?
If Max can keep it together, definitely, he's going to be on the top step of the podium.
Hard to vote against him.
And then I see a sneaky Carlos Sainz, man.
Ooh.
Like he's been flirting with the podium, flirting with a victory, maybe.
He's got fire in his heart after that Australia result.
I think so. Yeah, he's not a happy man. I think that's going to motivate him to reach the second step of the podium.
I like it.
And then my sneaky third is Lewis.
Yeah. I like Lewis to get up back on that podium again too. I think Mercedes is going to start cooking in second. Red Bull's in a league of their own, as we've said. But I like that. Okay, you know what?
What about you, Mark? What are you looking at for Baku podiums?
In the spirit of Greg, I'm going to go off the board here.
I like it.
Off the grid, actually, if we're going to be F1 related. And I'm going to say Max has some bad luck. I don't know if he's going to finish that race. And I'm going to give it to Lewis Hamilton.
Wow. Whoa, look out.
Lewis, P1, first win since Mercedes dominance a couple of years ago. I don't know. I just think it's going to happen.
You got a feeling, eh?
I got a feeling. Ooh, I got a feeling. Oh, that's not even a song. Doesn't matter. Second, P2. Checo.
Okay.
I think, I can't tell you that two Red Bulls are going to have a terrible time. One's got to be on the podium. It just makes sense. So Checo in that 2 spot. And, hey, make it 4 in a row, baby. Fernando Alonso.
Oh, I like it.
P3.
Wow.
So you got Lewis, Checo, Fernando. We'll see what happens, folks. Don't take that to the bank because you saw what happened last time I made a prediction. It didn't happen. But it's going to in this time.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Those are some spicy takes. I like it. And it's definitely going to be an exciting race. So who knows what's going to happen. But I like the variety in our selections there. Right. And I think it opens up a whole bunch of storylines. So we'll see how it all unfolds. But one thing that's guaranteed is safety cars. So it's going to shake it up in Baku.
Probably in the sprint race and the real race. I think the sprint race is where Lewis is going to make some moves and get out there in P1. We'll see what happens. But I hope it coincides with my new Lewis Hamilton t-shirt that I ordered off Etsy a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. It's pretty sick, folks. You're obviously going to see it as soon as I get my hands on it and debut it in that next episode after that. All right, so before we get to sprint to the finish line, we're going to do a little fun here. We're going to talk about the top tracks that need to come back to the F1 race calendar. Now, we've talked about it. Liberty Media wants to get, I don't know, a race every day if they could, every single 365 days of the year. But that's obviously out of the question. What are they at right now? 23?
22, 23.
22, 23. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets to 25 in the next couple of years and then maybe 30 by the end of the decade.
No, not possible. But
not possible.
Not possible. Sorry, logistically, financially.
They can't
also,
do it.
I mean, everybody that's in Formula One has a family too. So
yeah, very good point. But there's a few on the calendar right now that should be replaced. Barcelona. And we're going to get to those tracks. First off, Imola needs to be full-time.
Love it. Historical track, power, pace, and then in the heart of Italy, how can you knock that? The Tifosi, they come so strong, and as a fan and a Ferrari fan for a long time growing up and whatnot, seeing those scenes at Imola, just so much history there, and it's a great track to watch. Always exciting. Yeah. The Tifosi comes out strong in support, and I would love to see it added back to the calendar.
It deserves to be there. It's a historic track, like you said. I mean, I think Monza and Imola deserve to be on the calendar. Italy is, you can argue, it is kind of like the birthplace of F1, or at least one of the many.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously Ferrari's connection to Formula One and being so strong, and some people say Ferrari is Formula One, but I think it's
it was.
It's a beautiful part of the country. It's a beautiful track.
It's a great track. It's not like it's a bad race either.
It's very entertaining.
It's fun to watch. I mean, you had the Bottas Russell battle and Russell slapping Valtteri after that one.
That's a tough off-camber corner that comes out of a very, very fast straight. Mm-hmm. And, it's definitely testing drivers' abilities. And, also I like somewhat the idea of a revolving calendar. Maybe we don't see the same tracks every year. Maybe things like that.
Okay. Maybe all you can do is you can sign a 3-year deal, max, something like that.
Yeah, or just like, we're in certain areas every second year. Maybe.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You've got your staples, your Monaco, Silverstone, Brazil, things like that. But, instead of maybe just trying
Canada.
to add 25, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for sure. Can't miss that one. Just an idea that came to mind. But,
I like it. Yeah. Well, let's email Liberty Media and
send them our recommendations
straight to junk mail. We'll see what happens. This next one, I didn't even know about this. A street circuit in Spain, Valencia. Shout out to Valencia CF, a historic soccer team that's just not done well of late either. Just tough times all around for Valencia. Last race there was 2012. And then Barcelona took over. It's been a Borefest ever since. But a Spanish street circuit? Why was this taken off the calendar?
No idea. To be honest, probably financially related.
Always,
but extremely entertaining race. City circuit that incorporates bridges, water. So, it's got...
bridges?
Water. It's a very entertaining race, very visual, tight, again, street circuit. From what I can recall from that race... just very entertaining. Much more entertaining than, for me personally, than Barcelona.
Yeah. I mean, I hate on Barcelona, and we talked about that last chicane. They're turning into a long right-hander, which hopefully will lead to more action on that last straightaway.
More pace.
More pace for sure. But yeah, I mean, bring Valencia back. That'd be really cool.
Have you ever seen?
No, we're going to pop up.
Yeah.
If you're listening, go on YouTube, because we're going to show some pictures, maybe some video of some Valencia highlights, depending on if YouTube is okay with that. I think.
Yeah, and you'll get, for those of you that check that out, you'll get to see the V10s in action as well. Yeah, V8s, V10s era.
Another thing I want to talk about maybe in a few episodes down the line is they're never going to bring back the V10s, but is there a way to make them sound like V10s again? Or is that against the spirit of the sport?
Yeah, I don't, as a petrol head,
Because don't they do that with actual like road Ferraris and Lamborghinis? The exhaust or whatever is tuned to
In
sound
retail
a certain
market,
way.
yes, there are manufacturers that do amplify their exhaust sounds through fake methods, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
If it's, but they do it at the Masters. You hear those birds chirping and stuff like that.
That's fake?
Hey, sorry, yeah.
There's no birds in Augusta, folks.
Too many chemicals, but
Too many chemicals.
Yeah, but nothing will ever beat the sound of a V10 roaring. And I can remember being in Montreal. Being downtown, Peel Street, whatever, and you can hear those cars from the island kilometers away. I know it's similar in Albert Park and whatnot, and I know the fans that remember those days can.
And if you can't remember it,
sympathize,
here's a nice sound of a V10 engine right now. That was amazing, folks. All right, next up is South Africa, Yalami, probably saying that wrong. Last time on the calendar was 1993. We had a three-way battle between Alain Prost, Ayrton Senna, and Michael Schumacher.
Wow.
That must have been a great race. It's been a while. Obviously, when it comes down to it, it's expensive to host an F1 race. And this was right after apartheid in South Africa. And, finance is not so great there. But Africa, the continent, deserves an F1 race. And there's been talks maybe coming back 2024. I don't know. There's other articles saying don't believe the hype. So we'll keep an eye on that for you folks, and we'll see what happens.
So many beautiful countries in that continent that would definitely showcase Formula One in a very unique way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of crazy that Germany doesn't have an F1 race right now. Like, you've got the legend, of course, Michael Schumacher. You have Seb Vettel. You have a history of racing, manufacturers. Mercedes is German, if you didn't know. And there's no race there. The Hockenheim Ring was the last race in 2019, which was won by Verstappen. And I'm not sure, once again, not any real specific reason why it shouldn't be on there other than probably financial issues. But if it's not Hockenheim, bring back Nürburgring, bring back a race in Germany.
Yeah, very, very entertaining. The last, in 2019, it was raining. Hulkenberg almost had his first podium. I believe he was one of many drivers to spin off in the same corner there. A great showcase venue for Formula One, too, as far as fans are concerned attending. It's very much a stadium track.
Fun race to do in F1, the game as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one on the game console for sure. It's and Germany, massive Formula One fan base. Obviously, the manufacturer's connections to Mercedes and the history that
Porsche,
in that
Audi, everyone.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, look at them; they'll be entering Formula One back again in a couple years.
Yeah.
So you could probably expect Hockenheim to almost be added to the calendar simultaneously.
You could honestly see when Audi enters in, I think it's 2026, the announcement of Hockenheim will be right after that. If I'm a betting man, which I'm not, so we'll see. These last two kind of related. You have Istanbul Park and Portimao in Portugal, two races that ended up on the calendar over the last couple of years because of COVID. So it was a pleasant surprise because two great tracks and a couple of great races. And they're not permanent yet. There's talks that both of them are trying to get on the 2023 calendar, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, Portimao, they describe it like a roller coaster, and it truly is another great track to race in the F1 games. And Istanbul Park, I think it was the last time Lance Stroll was. It was the rainy qualifying. I believe he
That's when he got pole position. Was Istanbul? Yeah.
Lewis ended up winning, but he had pole on that. So shout out to our Canadian boy. But yeah, bring back Istanbul.
Yeah, and I think that's his first and only ever Q1 P1. Sorry.
Yeah.
Qualifying P1. Yeah.
He's had P3 a couple times, I think, but his only P1. Lance, an underrated driver in the rain.
I agree. Yeah, those Canadian roots, much like we see Bottas too. Kimi Räikkönen. You grow up driving in the snow and stuff. seem to be able to handle the rain pretty well too.
Yep, absolutely. All right, folks, it's time for everyone's favorite segment. It's the sprint to the finish line, and we're going to start with James Vowles, Williams team principal, saying that we need to start looking towards 2024 and sacrifice a bit of time, a bit of research on the 2023 car. Now, kind of disappointed to hear that because Williams has had some decent results so far. They've showed some promise. So
Albon
has been great.
Driving out of his seat, man.
Logan Sargent, I mean, I haven't seen anyone really talk about him that much.
I mean, he looks strong in qualifying and like decent in race pace, but a couple mistakes definitely cost him.
Yeah, I mean, rookies are going to rookie. So kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, maybe a good thing because Williams is like, you know what, this isn't just a one-off. You've got a great leader in James Vowles saying, you know, we need to look at 2024. You look at what happened with Mercedes where they sacrificed 2022 with the new regulations to focus on 2021. And yes, they won the Constructors, but now they are miles behind Red Bull. So makes sense. Probably in the end, a good move.
Yeah, I think so, especially given the state of Williams, their finances, not too many sponsors on the car, so there's not too much money coming in. I think they're overperforming on what they expected for this year, and if they're okay with that, I mean, scoring a couple points and stuff like that, so that'll put some more coffers in the bank at the end of the season. So if they can keep up those results with the current state of performance, I don't really see it because teams are going to evolve over the season. They will definitely get left behind. But if that will pay dividends in next season where they can have more consistent point results, then you get my vote.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, Williams, a historic team. You love to see them back competing with the top teams, no question. Here's a pretty funny quote. Lapo Elkin, who's the brother of Ferrari chairman John Elkin, and Lapo used to be on the board of directors himself. He was let go maybe for some of the quotes like these, but he said, and he's not necessarily wrong here, Ferrari needs heart, seriousness, and a winning team inside and outside of the pits. It's time to, all caps, wake up. Enough with politics and games. We will never win like this. And then my personal favorite part, the last sentence here, Santander for me, terrible bank.
Wow. Yeah. Not holding back in the slightest.
Not at all. And you look him up, he's definitely an eccentric character. He said some pretty funny things, but tell me he's wrong, folks. Look me in the eyes and tell me he's wrong, because I don't think he is.
Yeah, politics and Ferrari are synonymous. Always have been, always will be, with a team of that magnitude and the gravity that they possess. But when results are poor, season over season, inconsistent, reliability issues, performance issues, with talented drivers, people are going to vent their frustrations, and it just so happens to come from somewhat of the top. And interesting to see if that's kind of maybe the shakeup that the organization needed. I don't think it's really going to translate to on-track results. But we all want to see Ferrari back.
We all
want
to see them. So, I think what is needed is that massive shakeup, is that big risk that Ferrari's never going to take.
Yeah, because that's going to compromise their brand and their their integrity per se. Maybe when you're the biggest name in a sport and the results aren't coming, like, people are going to start venting their frustrations, and it just so happens to be within the organization, which we very rarely see from such a prominent organization as Ferrari. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
We certainly will.
Exciting though, wild for me, Lapo.
I love the drama.
Yeah, same.
See, Liberty Media, you don't need to push on-track drama to the point where the drivers are unsafe. Push this off-track drama, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
And cool news here, speaking of off-track drama, Paramount Plus has signed a multi-year deal with F1, with Liberty Media, I guess you could say. And that means you're going to see more content around the sport in a lot of different ways. Now, obviously, Netflix's Drive to Survive, I don't know if they're going to continue that now that deal?
Yeah, I kind of had the same thought to, are we going to see a new studio involved with these documentary productions? Sorry. I think Paramount is going to more so focus on fan experience within the race weekends at the tracks or venues. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then kind of branch out from there. But either way, it's growing the brand. It's going to enhance the fan experience. We've got a lot of young fans coming into Formula One too. So maybe some cool little fun rides and stuff like that for them at the tracks. And it's exciting to see. Obviously a major production studio, so we could probably see some films, some more documentaries and stuff like that. And I'm really excited to see what the future brings.
Absolutely. Is that Brad Pitt F1 film a Paramount film?
Good question. No comment.
Yeah, fact checked us on that one.
Yeah.
It probably is. We're going to definitely preview that movie when there's more information out on it. It's still in production at this point, but don't worry. Check back soon. Vegas construction has been underway for a while, and they are resurfacing 80% of the Las Vegas Strip.
Excellent. Yeah.
It's going to be great. That's going to be a fun race. That's not till November. Miami is in 3 weeks, and that track is currently under about a half a foot of water.
Yeah. Best wishes to all of the Floridian residents and whatnot. Yeah. We hope everybody's safe and that that GP is able to happen. Very exciting race last year and same expectations. It seems to be the South Beach party, and that's exciting. I'm super pumped for Vegas. Night race. Down the Vegas Strip, past the Bellagio fountains and whatnot, all these iconic sites.
Are we going?
We should definitely be there. Yeah, I got a hot hand in a dice game.
Let's go, baby.
We shall see. But purpose-built paddock for Vegas that will remain there year-round.
Oh, that's cool.
Which, it'll also be a fan experience too. So that's something nice to see that, it's not just we're here for a couple weeks and then we take everything down. So similar to Abu Dhabi, where they have Ferrari World, I believe. Formula One is looking to have a permanent installation in Vegas.
That's awesome. Very excited for that race, no question. Hopefully Miami. Well, I mean, they can keep the water in the fake marina they have around the tracks, but other than that, get the water off the tracks. Yeah. Valtteri Bottas has a beer. Well, it's a limited edition, an Aussie beer company, and we're not going to name them because we're sponsored by Boxing Rock. They've created a Valtteri Bottas beer, a true blue Aussie Bogan.
Okay.
So that's popping up right here if you can see it. Just kidding. It's Boxing Rock. Psych. But if you're in Australia, check it out. Buy one. Get it as a collector's item. It's pretty cool. He's on the front. He's got his mullet. Looking good as always. Charles and Pierre were spotted at the finals of the Monte Carlo tennis tournament. That is a series leading up to the French Open, if you're a tennis fan. I don't know if you noticed, a lot of F1 drivers seem to be big tennis aficionados.
Yeah, sure.
Two sports. Yeah, sure. I'm a tennis guy myself.
I'm trying to think of who's a big Nadal supporter.
Oh, probably Carlos Sainz.
I would imagine so, but it's also...
And Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
And
the Spaniards stick pretty close together. Right?
What's his name? The new Spaniard. He's a top 3 player now. He's a big Alonso fan. He actually, when he won the tournament a couple weeks ago before Australia, he wrote 33.
Oh, nice.
For Fernando's 33rd win. Of course, it didn't happen, but Carlos Alcaraz is his name. He is he's kind of like the next coming of Nadal. We'll see what happens there. But given that tennis and F1 seem to have a very close-knit relationship, check out our social medias for a little comparison between F1 drivers and tennis players. Those comparison stuff do really well on social media.
Cool, we'll keep them running.
We did constructors as NHL teams last week. That was a lot of fun. Aston Martin were the New Jersey Devils, of course. Carlos Sainz has urged the Tifosi to remain positive during these tough times. Negativity is not going to get us anywhere. I don't know how you're going to ask those people to remain positive right now.
Yeah, tout à poste, calmate. But, and especially with Lapo firing off comments like that, it's only going to light the spark under the Tifosi's butt. And,
it certainly is. It's not great. It's only going to fuel the fire. Yeah. And if you think about like the Tifosi name, like that is what the craziest fans in soccer are called, the Tifosi.
Ultras,
that's ultras. That's where it comes from. Yeah. So I don't think you're going to get a lot of positivity from those fans if you're not going to get the positive results. So
No, they'll climb fences. Like I would, no, the Tifosi. That's a serious representation of the fan base of Formula One. Probably the most serious. And they are extremely passionate. Have been for generations.
Well, if you want to see how passionate they are, go to was it Schumacher in 2004 in Monza, and they just crowd the track. Multiple near misses while Schumacher's going back to the paddock.
Right.
And if you want
to, they're jumping on the track before he can even get back, complete his final lap after winning. Yeah.
Craziness. So if you want to know how intense those folks are, check that out.
There's been comparison footages of like the Tifosi after a Ferrari win to Donald Trump and his whatever installation is.
Yeah, the Trumpers or whatever they are.
Just when they when they do the inaugurations.
The inauguration. So you don't want to mess with those people, folks. Ferrari, start getting the results or else.
Yeah, you're gonna have to deal with the Tifosi Nation.
Whew, baby. Felipe Massa, this is a story that's been going on for the last week or so, has talked about suing over his title loss in 2008 because in Singapore, Renault told Nelson Piquet Jr. to crash on purpose so teammate Fernando Alonso could get more points. That year, Lewis won the World Championship in a McLaren by, I believe it was actually just 1 point over Felipe Massa. I know this isn't going to go anywhere because the type of precedent that was set is absolutely insane, but it's a call by Renault. I don't know how you can punish McLaren for Renault's wrongdoings.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is almost a lost cause. Maybe a chance to keep Massa's name in the headlines.
Has he got a book coming out or something?
Probably, yeah. A little promo, never hurt anybody. But obviously, for the sake of sportsmanship, that's not something we want to see in Formula One.
No.
I mean, I sympathize with him, but maybe this is something I would have addressed in 2009.
Yeah, it's a little foregone at this point.
Late in the game.
Yeah, what's the statute of limitations on an F1 championship?
Yeah, really.
Not going to happen, Philippe. Sorry, buddy. That's Lewis's championship, and that would just open the floodgates for who knows how many different controversial calls we've had over the years.
Yeah, and what's going to happen? Like are they going to bring everybody back in, sit them down? You have to testify in the witness stand.
Everyone that had a driver's seat in 2008 has to redo that season,
right? Yeah, and then what? We'll address the whole Lewis, Max, Abu Dhabi, Michael Massey.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not going to happen.
The sport needs to move forward, and so does Felipe Massa.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. All right, folks, that is it for this episode of F1 Casuals. We may be back in 1 week with Greg. We'll see. If not, we'll be back in 2 weeks, no question, after the Azerbaijan GP with what's probably going to be a crazy post-race episode with the sprint, with the race, everything considered. But until then, folks, it's lights out.
See you on the grid.